am your brother. I'm not your father, I'm younger.
So,
in case you don't know, May the 4th is coming up in just a few days. May the 4th be with you. And you know what? We're such geeks, but we never really talked about Star Wars.
We've never actually done a May the 4th be with you episode.
No.
We've never had we've had episodes where we've tried to fix Star Wars or we've made complaints about Star Wars and where it's at, but we've never took the opportunity to talk about why we love Star Wars and why things like that actually get to us. So I think it'd be a great opportunity right now with this special day that comes around every single year. It's Therapy Thursday, folks.
He hasn't had his beer yet. Anyways, watch this. We'll be right back.
Watch the song. You'll just enjoy it. We'll see you right after.
Two guys talking, saying anything, nothing new to say, talking anyway. Start yammering, can't hear a thing, nothing I can do. So let's have one more brew. One more brew. Let's have one more brew. One more brew. Stop talking, try listening, try anything, try whistling. There you go again, saying anything, nothing I can do. So let's have one more brew. One more brew. Let's have one more brew. One more brew.
That's dude. And welcome to Lazyboys Night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good color.
That's an actual beer color.
Well, what are we drinking? This is the Ripple Effect Pale Ale by Bench Brewery. I don't know where Bench is. Do you have glasses? Dude, don't let us know. I don't want to wear my old man glasses. All right, it's a classic pale ale.
If you had a beer commercial.
Smell it. It's got fruitiness to it.
Yeah.
It's got a little, it's IPA, a little, maybe a little hazy, huh?
That's very nice.
You know what? It's not quite a breakfast beer, but it's a little fruitiness, but it's got a little more of the bitter that some of the pale ales have, but in a beautifully balanced way.
Nice, hot summer day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
This would be amazing with that.
It's also good on May 4th.
Oh, yes,
right.
sir. This is fantastic.
Good job there, Bench. Ripple Effect. Huh.
They usually have pretty good beers then.
I don't think I've had Bench before. No.
I have.
Well, there you go. He set the benchmark for it.
But
sorry.
this one, first time for this
Doing
one.
the bad dad jokes. All right.
That's all right. It's okay.
So let's talk Star Wars.
Star Wars. If you could buy wars, and then it would be Star Wars.
Thank you, Bill Murray.
Hell yeah.
I want to get started with a fun fact for me. When Star Wars came out, the original, which is...
Not a New Hope, the actual Star Wars.
Well, it is a New Hope, but back then it was just called Star Wars.
Exactly.
And it wasn't Episode 4, it was just Star Wars. They didn't start doing Episode 5 till Empire, and it had everybody go, what? And then they changed in the video format to reflect, and the re-release, A New Hope, and all this. But it was really just Star Wars. It was 1977.
The year was 1977.
That's right. Sicily, 1977. Anyways, I was a wee lad. Too wee to go to the movies by myself. And while my dad and I, we always did a lot of movies together, he was never really into this. So I never saw Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back in theaters.
Wow, okay.
However, let me take you back to the early 80s. Circa 1982, a friend had just gotten a VCR. Now, for the younger crowd who doesn't know what a VCR is, think a DVD or Blu-ray player, but it's a big clunky tape. But you can also record with it.
They probably don't even know what the Blu-ray is.
Well, if they don't, then they really need to...
Social media, people. Just social...
Anyways.
Physical media, sorry. Physical media.
So, he had the Star Wars tape at home, and I'd never seen it. We had a sleepover, and saw Star Wars for the first time. And so finally, because I had the toys since '77, I knew who all the characters were. I had the X-Wing, I had the Millennium Falcon, but I'd never seen the movie until '82.
And it was the first movie ever the toys were such a big deal. I'll let you continue, but yeah, for sure, the toy thing is huge.
Well, we'll talk about Lucas and his genius for that part. So after I saw Star Wars, then we rented Empire Strikes Back, because you could rent videos back then. And then finally when Jedi came out, Return of the Jedi in '83, that was my first in-theater Star Wars experience. But I was all caught up, it was all good.
Wow.
But yeah, I missed out on the original phenomenon. I was too young to go by myself. So
well, my my very first experience, oddly enough, was even before I saw it. It wasn't in theaters. It was at a drive-in.
So you saw Star Wars at a drive-in?
Star Wars at a drive-in.
Oh my God.
So that as well, if some of you are not aware of what a drive-in is, there would be a massive screen, and
massive,
you would
like several
drive
stories
up with
tall.
your car,
Yeah.
and you would watch it with a bunch of other people in their cars.
Yeah, they take a little wire. There was a little speaker box stand, a wire which you would hook to your antenna, and so the sound would come out your radio.
You'd have that, or you'd actually have the sound box.
Yes, depending
on what where you were, how much how high end it was or not. But prior to going, as a surprise, my parents got me a little stormtrooper.
Oh!
So when I got that, I had no idea what that was at all. But can you put up a photo of like the original Star Wars
Stormtrooper action figure,
man? And there was a very limited release when it came to toys. But I remember opening that up. Yes, I did open it up. I didn't realize back then that it could
collectibles.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't a thing in the '70s.
We didn't think about collectibles, so we got older and we wanted to have what we used to have, and we couldn't, anyways.
And not play with it.
But having that in hand, right, and we're gonna go see these guys in a movie, like Stormtrooper. First of all, Stormtrooper with the full body armor.
Oh yeah, the cool white helmet with the.
I'm like, what are we gonna go see? So we drive up to the drive-in. The movie starts off, and as soon as Darth Vader walks through, like when the door falls down.
Yeah, the billowing smoke,
and
then
then
comes
Darth
out
Vader,
breathing
full
thing.
black, like evil, come out, and then you see all the stormtroopers come out. I freaking lost my mind, man. I'm like,
this guy!
And then at that second, that very opening, man, I was hooked. And then you have R2-D2. C-3PO,
Leia,
the choking and the voice and just everything at the same time was it. How would I say this? I was already a geek in my childhood. Like I loved Doctor Who and everything else, like Buck Rogers, everything that was
Star Trek.
I loved Star Trek. I used to watch
Buck Rogers
Sunday morning.
10 a.m. Star Trek 10 a.m. on Sundays.
But this was not science fiction. This was fantasy.
Science, sci-fi fantasy.
Sci-fi fantasy, and it was like, what is going on? And then the Millennium, like just every single aspect of it, and it shook me to my core. I was so excited when it was done, man. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
You actually nailed it on the head there. I think the reason it caught on so much, because if you made that movie today, it would be just another movie. But you got to bear in mind, prior to Star Trek, Star Wars, my bad.
Yeah.
You had Star Trek and all these other shows, and science fiction was clean. Everybody had the uniforms, the robots. Aliens were monsters.
Super lighted all the time.
And it was always
walls were white.
And it was always a deep philosophical thing, and about man's place in space and the universe. It was very cerebral. And then enter Lucas, and to be honest, Star Wars has really ripped off Japanese samurai movies.
But
nonetheless,
that and World War II movies as well.
Yeah.
Because the dog fights and all that stuff.
He combined aspects from World War II films, some aspects from samurai movies, and westerns as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And he created this fantasy world set in space. So it wasn't really science fiction. It is fantasy, but it's set in space. So instead of swords, we got the lightsabers.
But it's
instead
not
of
just
your horses, you got your ships.
But it's not just in space. It's in a galaxy.
Oh, it's in a galaxy far away. Yeah. But people had never seen anything like that before. So that's what had, and you just heard Dude describe the impact. I only saw a little later on a small 20-inch TV from a rental, but you had the full-blown effect. It had never been done. Doing it today, it's been done to death. But why? Because a movie like this paved the freaking way.
Yeah.
And that's why it had such a strong impact on people.
And I think it had that impact. What was, I can't even find a word. It was an unbelievable impact on our generation. Like anybody that was a child to early 20s.
Oh yeah.
Those people, like adults back then, could not care less. But that age group, like from
my dad couldn't care.
4 to like 24.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Young adult, teens, kids.
Oh my God, the world had just been flipped over, man. Somebody like Lucas flipped that table and going, "This is what entertainment is now."
Side note: if you've ever watched that '70s show, you see Eric Foreman flips, and he's constantly obsessed with Star Wars throughout the entire 8 seasons of the show, to the point where the revival they did, that '90s show, he's got a daughter. Her name is Leia. That's how impactful, and he represented the geek in all of us from that era, and it was strong. Now, back in '97. Lucas re-released the original trilogy, so parts 4 through 6, remastered with a few little tweaks. Some of the tweaks we loved, some of the tweaks we hated. Han shot first.
Dude, you remember how that was presented, though?
In what way?
They had a screening for the release, the re-release, right, with all the
basically it was the 20th anniversary, yeah.
They would have marathons in theaters.
Oh, yes.
And when it first opened the first night, it was at midnight.
Boom.
And it was a whole night.
Oh, yeah.
And it was back to back. And it was and most people that were in the theaters had never seen Star Wars in theaters.
There was a lot of kids getting their first,
right?
a lot of kids getting their first impression. And that was my first A New Hope.
Remember, just sitting, and for me, I had seen Star Wars in a drive-in, completely different kind of setup, sitting in the theater, and having that, it wasn't the original version. It was, he played it. Anyways, we're not going to go into that.
Like I said, Han shot
but
first.
it was still awesome because when you have that music starting off,
and the scrolling going up
and then
there,
over
the
you,
ship coming through,
you're going, oh,
and
man,
you can
I still
feel it
get
vibrating in
chills
your
thinking
seat.
about it.
That whole engine's rumbling of the ship.
That is an unbelievable feeling. When you get that, it's just unreal.
Now, I do want to talk about, because it's not just the first 3 movies, which are parts 4, 5, and 6.
Well, now, there's an entire universe.
But let's talk about it. And there are lovers, there are haters, there are mixed feelings about it. And I think it's important to address them, but objectively.
Sure.
After the re-releases in '97, it was a setup because in '99, 2002, and 2005, they released parts 1, 2, and 3. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, which were met with mixed feelings. And I have a theory as to why the feelings are mixed.
Okay, so do I.
All right, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Go.
So, there's no way, because at that point, there had been so many books written about Star Wars.
This is true. There's also a whole expanded book universe.
Exactly. And the geeks, like the Star Wars lovers, had such high expectations for it. But at the age we were at, right, when we fell in love with it, we were way younger, and it blew our mind. It was the first time. So our expectations were completely ridiculous, and being adults, so it adds on how ridiculous. But on the other side, I know for a fact that kids that grew up with that, and that was their Star Wars,
they loved it.
They absolutely love it.
I
absolutely love it. That's how, like, Anakin and Obi-Wan and even Jar Jar Binks, say what you want, kids that have fond memories of it, and then adults were the ones bashing it.
I agree with you. My theory is pretty much the same. Is you can't go home again because it's 20 years later.
Yeah.
You can't have the same experience. You're not that kid anymore. Yeah. And you've now seen 20 years of the influence it has had.
Yeah.
So you will either match and be disappointed because I wanted something new, or we give you something new and you're like, it's not what I wanted. You can't go home again. You
How
just
did
can't.
you feel about it though? When you saw like legitimately,
Legitimately?
either when it first came out, like when you saw one, 2, and 3, in that order,
Legitimately,
and now today.
I had mixed feelings, and rewatching them later, my feelings have changed. My initial feeling was it was a fun ride, but it had some problems.
Okay.
Jar Jar Binks was annoying to me. And unlike the original trilogy, which was really focused on the journey of a few key characters, this trilogy was really two things. It became the life and times of Anakin Skywalker, which I was okay with that part. It's the other part is it became a political drama. The entire first movie is just we set it up so Palpatine becomes Chancellor. That's all it is. The entire plot is just I'm going to be Chancellor, and then I'm Emperor.
Yeah.
And then we destroy the Jedi. And so there's a lot
of fast forwarding.
There's a lot of political, and I understand you got to set up the backstory. I do, but I felt you didn't care as much about the characters because of it. You know, you cared for Luke, who's just this kid who's thrust onto a journey. You cared for Han because he was the cool rebel. You cared for Leia because I know it's going to sound misogynistic. She's the hot princess, but she kicks butt at the same time. She was totally butt kicking. You were like, wow.
If anybody says anything about women of strength and power,
she totally kicked butt. She was a strong character.
She's the one that actually, if you watch it again in Star Wars, she's the one that actually rescues.
Oh yeah, when they escape from the prison, she grabs the blaster, shoots it, and you.
So, anyways, just saying.
But I found in the prequel, you didn't have that same kind of caring about the characters. The only one I felt something, and I think it's a credit to his acting skills, because the other thing is, the original trilogy, the concept was George Lucas, but he didn't write or direct. Mm-hmm. The prequels were written by George Lucas, and I'm not sure if he directed as well or whatnot, but some of the dialogue is just so bad and clunky, and the only one who actually managed to make it sound good was Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. He was the standout character.
He was the glue for that thing, man.
He was, and everything else, it just kind of fell a little flat. You know, in episode 2, when Anakin and Padme are having their little picnic and he's talking, you don't believe the romance. You don't believe the romance.
No.
And in part 3, Revenge of the Sith, when she just dies of a broken heart, she's a strong woman.
We're supposed to be positive.
No.
May the fourth be with you.
Hang on. She's supposed to be strong, and I feel personally, had the script had Anakin accidentally killed her with his Force rage, that would have pushed him over the edge.
Yes,
I felt that would have made
100%.
That would have made a great villain. I killed my own. I've gone over the edge.
She gave up,
but she just gave up. I'm like, no, Padme was supposed to be strong.
Yeah.
So I had issues with it. Looking back on it, I'm like, it is what it is. But there's also a lot of fun ride moments.
There is,
and I take them for what they are.
When I first sat in the theater and it was episode 1 about to start, that music that comes on we know well.
Oh yeah.
You have the scroll and it starts going through and it's always in the stars and then it pans down
to
I was I was besides myself. I was like, oh my god,
Star Wars
again. Yeah. I'm like, woo!
Yeah.
And the fact that it starts with the blockade, a trade blockade.
Gee, some kind of terrafor happening?
What?
Let's not get political.
Out in space? So, but when you have the, I guess they're all aliens, but when you have, what was their name for the actually took care of trades? Anyways, those characters talking about the fact that they have Jedis that are asking to come on board. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, hell yeah. And then they have the full cloak.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Obi-Wan. And then they walk in and like, they took the cloak off and I'm going, 2 actors that I absolutely adore.
Oh yeah, because Liam Neeson is also awesome.
Huge. But just that setup for me was amazing.
That setup was great. And I will say, when you got to see them demonstrate their Force powers, because now you've got late 90s cinema technology, so they can enhance, because before, let's face it, in the original trilogy, clunky lightsaber
Yeah.
fight. Now they've got all these cool martial arts enhanced with all. And when they just like did that Speed Force run at one point, you're like, whoa!
Yeah, that freaked me out too.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
So,
what?
like,
They can do that too. I'm
So
like, damn.
this was, I will admit, that part got me really
That
excited.
set me up.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about, even when they shut the blaster doors, and then Qui-Gon Jinn takes out his saber and he just dives in there and he's just
melts it.
slowly,
Yeah.
and then you see on the other side going, oh man,
Yeah, they're
this
like,
is
oh,
not good.
no.
This is not good at all. So that whole setup, and I know that Lucas originally wanted to have an underwater city that Luke and I don't know where he would have added that in, but I know the underwater city, he wanted that in his original movies, but it was not doable.
Which is why they did with episode 1.
That was something that he had always wanted to do, and he added it in there because they could have the technology and everything. But even at that, when they put their little breathers and they go underwater and then it opens up, a lot of that visually, that first movie blew me away. So as it progressed and they tried to make it story-based, character-based, it didn't work as much.
No.
But when it was eye candy,
from an eye candy perspective, it is great eye
dude.
candy.
Amazing eye candy. Like even at the battle, when you have the battle droids, and it's like they're dropping, it's like rudder.
Yeah.
And there's like an insane amount.
Oh yeah.
It's almost going back to the Ewoks with whatever, but these guys actually have these balls or whatever they're throwing the Gungans, and
It's high tech now.
But there's even when you go into there's so many scenes I can think about in the two other films that I completely enjoyed. For everything.
The spectacle.
The spectacle of it was absolutely phenomenal. I could still watch it today. I still enjoy it very much for what it is. But unfortunately, the actual, like I said, the character of the story that they're trying to arc throughout, it fell short. And again, for me, that whole forced romance, when they first meet, is like, he's like a little kid. She's already...
He's like 9 and she's like 16, 17.
It's just a weird... Why would you set it up that way first of all, knowing that it's going to progress to something? But even their love goes... It's fast forward. I feel like I'm watching Click with Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Again, because the dialogue is bad. You don't believe the chemistry between them. You're like, how? No.
And that's too bad, because
she's
even
too
Padme,
cool for him.
Padme was an awesome character.
She was. She's too cool for him.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah,
All right,
for
so
sure.
let's switch to the following sequels, 7, 8, 9.
I don't want to talk about those.
No.
If you want to address it, for me, it actually is 1 to 6.
Okay.
Anything after that, I find it absolutely revolting. I hate those movies with an absolute passion. I do.
I will say...
I don't even own them. Like, I don't even have the physical media versions of them. I cannot stand it.
I will say
No.
the eye candy factor was still there, but I felt the stories fell short. I felt they didn't do the original characters justice.
Oh, no.
And I felt that episode 7 was just, let's rehash episode 4.
Yep.
Here's a giant space station that's going to blow up. So it was like, I know they were trying to
But
bring
it's
it back to what it was,
terraformed
but it didn't really
I found
work.
it insulting because they were trying to wipe clean and start over
Well,
again
this-
when you don't need to.
And you just said wipe clean. This is the part that annoyed me. Between episode 4, the original back in 77, and all the way up to episode 7 that came out in what, 2000? Dude.
This is where you step
Anyways,
up.
there were literally hundreds and hundreds of
Yes,
novels
we've talked
that
about this
expanded the
before.
universe. And then when episode 7 came out, it wiped all that away. It retconned, and there was such a rich history. Luke married the
I was
Emperor's
gonna-
hand. Mara Jade had a kid named
Yes.
Ben. Han and Leia
No,
had
that
3 kids,
twins.
the twins.
Yes,
One of them went
the whole
dark,
thing.
and the sister had to kill her
Yes.
brother. The other kid, Anakin,
There's
was
so
killed by
much
the
to
Yuzon
go
bomb.
off of. It's
Chewbacca
so
was blown
much.
up, and all that. No,
So much it could have, like, even there's a storyline that happens not too long after episode 6.
Grand Admiral Thrawn storyline.
Yes.
They
Best one
tried
ever.
to do that in the
Dude.
Ahsoka things.
The books are right
Yeah,
there,
books,
man.
yeah.
Can you get it?
Here
But
to
that
the
series,
Empire.
I could not put those down.
This should have been movie 7.
That should have been
The
movie
problem is
7.
the characters were too old. The actors were too old to play the characters, but that should have been movie 7.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways, but I will say this though: there's a couple of standalone movies in between.
Spatchy.
There was the Solo movie, which was okay. But there was Rogue One.
But that's the thing. It was okay, and it should never
This is
ever have
true.
been okay.
Lando
should have been-
Calrissian was awesome in that
Yeah,
movie.
he played it
Yeah.
well.
Donald
but
Glover played it
for
beautifully.
all intents and
Or Dave- yeah,
purposes,
Donald
man,
Glover, yeah.
that movie, I don't know. I don't even want to know who was actually in charge of producing, directing, the writing of it. Like, you guys had an out of the park guarantee with Han Solo and his backstory, and you screwed it up.
Well, it actually
screwed it up.
It actually halted them several other film projects they were going to do.
It's
Now,
unbelievable.
Rogue One, however,
The exception to the rule, my friend.
Rogue One was brilliant.
Exception to the rule.
Rogue One was the bridge between Episode 3 and 4, and it was the story about the rebels who got the plans for the Death Star.
Yeah.
And when Rogue One ends, literally, that's where
Yeah.
Episode 4 begins. That one, I loved. I cared about the characters. They were well written. The story was cool. There were stakes, legit stakes. And spoiler alert, they all die.
What?
They
Of
all
course.
die. The
That's
heroes
part of
don't
the
get
movie.
away with
Yeah.
it. The mission gets completed, but the heroes die.
But
Heroes.
see, that setup is very cool because if you take, for example, we heard of them, like there's a little like a few
Oh, yeah, yeah.
sentences, and you knew that the plans came from them.
Yeah.
In the book, the original book, they elaborate way more. But for the movie's sake, they just save a little bit. So our imaginations are going
Oh,
wild
yeah.
for like all of these years, going, who the hell were these people? Like they were in.
Yeah.
Like they're the reason why Luke can actually blow up the Death Star, right? But in this movie, the way it was set up is like, even if they passed away, you already knew they were passing away. But it's not characters that you were already invested in, right? So I'm thinking of like something stupid with the Marvel movies where you had, oh my god, oh frick, I don't want to go into something, but
You lost me there.
yeah, no. I was going to say about a character that you're invested in. You see her life. She started off in Iron Man. Oh my god. I just have Scarlet Witch in my head, but it's not that who I'm
Black
thinking
Widow.
of. Black Widow, thank you.
Okay.
So Black Widow, right? You're
Scarlett
invested.
Johansson, that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. That's why I'm so freaking confused. And it is a therapy Thursday as well.
yeah.
I'm tired, but I'm enjoying my time right now. When they made her standalone movie, nobody wanted to see this because they know she's dead. And it's like, why are you showing me her life before and then I find out when she's dead? But the thing is, with Rogue One, we had never met them.
Yeah.
And we knew that the mission was dangerous.
This
we
was a
knew
story we wanted to
they
hear.
were giving up
Yeah.
their lives for this. It's like, I want to see that. And it was set up almost like the classic World War II movies, right? Where the ragtag group of soldiers going off, and but what they're doing, their mission is going to have an insane impact on the rest, in this case, of the Star Wars universe. And that was,
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, okay, I hate when they do, they put women in girl boss roles. And when I saw the main character, I'm going, oh, is this going to be another girl boss? And
I didn't feel that way to me.
no,
No.
and they did it well.
They
and
did
the
it well,
problem with that is after that, it's almost like somebody went, oh, we can put girl bosses throughout the entire Star Wars universe, and it's going to work well. No, it's not, because this was actually written well.
Yeah.
It was a fun ride. She actually played, like, her physical attributes, how she was, her character was freaking awesome. It was believable. It was fun.
Yeah,
you know?
it was the exception to those movies.
Yeah.
Now, beyond the movies, there's all these shows.
So many
shows, and
But the best for us when we were younger, cartoons.
cartoon. Yeah, the droids and Ewoks.
That was
Now,
awesome.
there were 2 live-action Ewok TV movies. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do.
Have you watched them recently?
Not recently. I don't know if I want to.
Oh, they're terrible. They're absolutely schlock.
Yeah.
Terrible. But it was fun for kids. But that's the thing
Hey,
about
man.
the expanded universe and TV now. Some of the shows are for kids. Some of the shows are for the diehard fans. Some of the shows are for the people who want to explore beyond. Case in point, Mandalorian. Great series.
first season. I hated the rest of them.
I'm okay with them all. First season was the best though.
No,
The
last
Boba Fett,
season, man, I was raging.
the Book of Boba Fett fell short for me.
Yeah,
I felt
no.
it felt flat.
Again, another out of the park character that they it should have been. Actually, the Mandalorian should have been Boba Fett's series. They should have played around with Boba Fett right off the bat.
They wanted to create a new character,
Yeah,
and
but
I
that's
think
the
it worked.
thing is that's what's going on now. Is that they're
maybe.
trying to cash in on so much.
Hey, they wanted Pedro Pascal.
Oh my God. They want him everywhere now.
There were other shows. The Acolyte. I was bored with it. I was actually bored.
One
with
of
it.
the worst TV shows ever streamed, put into your eyeballs. It was horrendous.
I didn't care about any of the characters.
No, it
was
was
like,
horrible. And then they're trying to
you died, who
rewrite.
cares?
They're trying to rewrite Star
Now,
Wars
one
lore.
series
Why
that
would
was
you
fun-
do that?
I can't remember the title of it. One series that was fun. It was released quite recently. It feels more like The Goonies or something like that. It's more of a kids series. It's about these kids on this planet that's shielded from the rest of the universe, and they discover an old spaceship, and they accidentally blast off outside the planet's shield, and they can't get back home.
What's the name?
I forget the name.
Oh, no way!
But and so they deal with pirates and all this, and it's about
But it's
fighting.
animated, right?
No, it's live
What?
action.
Oh, no way!
It's live action.
Because there's an animated.
Yeah,
version
there's
as well.
but this
so
one,
much.
This one is live action, and these kids are basically lost in space, trying to find their way back to their home planet. They deal with pirates because their home planet is actually a legend in the rest of the galaxy.
Wow.
Turns out the planet is one of the few Old Republic planets that would mint all the Old Republic credits. And the planet has been minting for decades now, still waiting for an envoy to come and get the next shipment. There are like literally trillions of credits.
Okay, so it's
So the pirates want this,
Yeah.
and the kids just want to get it. They have no idea, and it's this lost in space, kid friendly. Like you're not gonna take it as seriously as like like Rogue One series,
Yeah.
but it's a fun adventure. Like I said, it's like Goonies and stuff like that. That one I enjoyed because you see these kids just dealing with like what the hell and being shot at and blasting through space and where are we going next. That one was actually a lot of fun, and I would recommend as a good family view.
So that's one of the things too that I mentioned. One of my very first Star Wars experience was that Stormtrooper toy. But the fact that George Lucas had
Let's
the
talk about that.
the genius of having 100% ownership.
Yeah. Now, but today you couldn't get that kind of deal. But when George Lucas pitched Star Wars, the studio agreed to do it, provided he also direct this other film that they thought would be the big thing.
Yeah.
And because they didn't give him much credit, George worked in his contract that he retained ownership, which studios wouldn't do now, and merchandising. George Lucas is a billionaire not because of the movies. He's a billionaire because of the toys. Don't get me wrong, he made a lot of money with the movies.
Yeah,
but all the
nothing close.
merchandising. So what did he do?
The C3PO toothbrush.
Oh yeah,
the
the
Pez
lunch
dispensers,
boxes,
the lunch boxes, the
everything.
T-shirts, the toys, the little freaking Han Solo
And still
guns,
to
the
this day, they
lightsabers.
keep
It's like,
making those toys, and
unreal.
Lucas is still raking it in like crazy.
And
so good for him. That was probably the smartest move ever.
as soon as that happened, that's when the toy industry blew up.
Oh yeah.
That's when, in the 80s and 90s specifically, every movie was made, and TV shows.
Oh yeah, cartoons.
were
Saturday morning
made
cartoons were designed to sell toys.
Because they found out, it wasn't anymore. It wasn't like the little train set or the dollies or whatever. It's like
Action figures.
Action figures.
Oh yeah.
Like boys want these more than girls want the
Oh yeah.
dollies.
So the GI Joes went from these big things to the smaller ones, but with all the kung fu grips and all the different characters rather than generic soldier because of the cartoon, because of He-Man. You remember He-Man? All the toys. Lucas
And the
started
funny
all
thing
that.
is the reason why the Star Wars figurines are that size because they wanted to create the vehicles in the movie.
Yeah.
But to have them G.I. Joe size,
vehicles
it
would
would
be
be
too big.
ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a Millennium Falcon would take up the whole dual
I
bin.
had the original Millennium
So
Falcon.
they had to figure out, okay, what size are we comfortable with that parents are actually going to be willing to buy? I was like, that's what it is, 8 inches. Well, no, not inches.
3.5, 4 inches, something like that.
But it's the fact that genius of thinking about it, go, no. And even it flew off the shelves so fast, and I remember this, that they did not have any Star Wars toys available anymore. So what they ended up doing is that same year, they had new toys coming out, but they weren't ready because they couldn't keep up with demand.
Oh, they'd send the vouchers.
Yes, you can get you could pre-buy your toys, man, and that's what parents were giving out at Christmas. So we got these vouchers. Man, I wish I had those. I wouldn't have gotten my toy.
It's not an urban legend. This is a fact because I saw a documentary on this. One of the toys that was most in demand and they had a voucher for was the Boba Fett action figure when it was first released. And at this point, they were ready for Empire because that's when Boba Fett was introduced.
Yeah.
They were ready for more toys, but they still had to do the voucher for Boba Fett because the original toy, Boba Fett, his jetpack has a rocket pack on top, and originally there was a built-in launcher, and the rocket would shoot. But it was deemed a dangerous toy, choking hazard.
Yeah.
So they were recalled. And they
so
had to
there's
redo
some of them
them.
out there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nobody, and this is the thing, there are people who claim they got one. Not a single one was ever released. They were all destroyed except a handful, like about 5 or 6, and they're all in collector museums somewhere. There was not a single personal owner anywhere who has one. They were never ever released. Nobody ever got it from the voucher. If somebody claims they got one, they're lying. All right? I saw this heavy-duty documentary on this, but they were showing one of them for the museum, and ping, and the thing shot out. It was so cool.
But I'm sure that having that idea of having the toys with that kind of adventure was the perfect combination, and I'm positive that's why so many people still hold those first 3 movies so close. Like, I'm one of them, so close to my heart because there's so much of it. And having those action figures, you could be in Star Wars like more than any other action figure before.
Yeah.
Well, not before, but since. I mean, because before there wasn't very much. But yeah. So for me, Star Wars, may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Means a lot.
Yeah.
It does mean a lot. And you know what? I'm happy we're doing this because we've had other episodes. So when we're done, check it out. You'll see a little pop-ups there to go check out other episodes where we've talked about. We had one where how we could rescue Star Wars and things like that. But you know what? When I go back, it's still my happy place. When I go back to the 3 first, I can watch actually the first 6. And the first 6 I'm happy with. But if I want to have a perfect Sunday afternoon, man, episode 4, 5, 6, and that is a perfect afternoon.
Cool.
Right? So, physical media, folks, that's what it gives you.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Disney Plus. We've got the originals, baby.
Enjoy May the 4th.
Yeah. So it's coming up soon.
And don't piss off a Wookiee.
Still awesome. Right?
And we'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Cheers, dude. That was a fun episode. Enjoy that.